Good morning, everybody. It's Tony from TC's Model Workshop again. How are we all doing? A little bit of a different video again today. This time prepping the primer that I put onto the Ford Focus RS. This is the Tamiya ultra thin, I think it's ultra thin, aerosol that I use. I really get on well with this primer. A lot of people seem to prefer the airbrush version. I'm more than happy with a spray can. I use aerosols for pretty much everything body wise on these model cars, so yeah, we're more than used to it. Goes on really nicely. This stuff dries really quickly. You can sand this normally within about an hour or two if you so want. I sort of leave it normally a day or so, crack on between each coat, between each stage of what I'm doing. So here I'm using 3M Trizac 3000 grit just to flatten it back down, take out any minor imperfections. Doesn't need a great deal of sanding, but it's just nice to do it wet, get it nice and flat. You know you're going to get a decent finish with the paintwork afterwards. Now, anyone who does body work or anything like that, you understand this side of stuff, but anyone who's new to modelling, that sort of thing, your prep is what shows in your final result essentially. So getting a nice flat finish with your primer is absolutely essential. As you can see, it's all nice and finished there. Got a few little blemishes in the roof still, so we're going to go over those again. And I'm just going to take it away, dry it off now, and bringing it back. As you can see, all nice and dry now. Weirdly on this, the primer didn't seem to sit in the door lines, which is going to show prominent a little bit later on in the video. As you can see, all lovely and flat. Still got a bit of a shine to it because the 3000 grit actually, believe it or not, polishes it up in some places. There's a couple of little scratch marks that are a little bit deeper from my prep work before the primer, unfortunately. So we're going to see if they come out in the paint. But as you can see, the body looks really nice and smooth. All those panel gaps, the mold lines that are in there, most of them disappeared with a little bit of work before the primer. Some of them did come back through in the primer, so hopefully that's cleared through now as well. And we're going to look at some paint on this video as well. So as we come into this one, I apologise, I'm doing this after I filmed it. I filmed this nearly a week ago now, so I'm sort of trying to remember what I've done. Here we go. So we're going to come in to having a look at me doing some paint work now. My little spray booth that I've got in the garage. Yes, I know it's not highly ventilated, but the big doors open on the garage. I'm not in a closed off environment. I use Holt's automotive spray paint for most of my colours. I don't say all because some of them I do use Carplan. I use there's another brand as well, High Coat, that I use quite regularly as well. Just starting off with those earlier base colour sections, so like trying to get all the underside done in one, make sure we don't get any little areas that we're going to miss. So I always start along the bottom edges of all the body. I apologise, my camera wasn't set quite right for this. And then slowly building my way up the side of the body, and now we've got those bottom edges done. I'm going to start from the bottom, make our way up. I find this works better because then any overspray is going to get covered again. Alright. Just making my way nice and slowly round the body, trying to get a nice even coat over the whole thing. Nothing too thick at the moment. If you go on too thick too early, then the paint doesn't stick and it ends up running straight off and looking terrible. So that's first coat, not far off being done now. I'm going to come back in and do a second coat once that's tacked off a little bit. I normally leave, so depending on the temperature, I normally leave sort of 15-20 minutes between coats at the moment. In the UK, it's quite cold at the minute. During the summer, you can do it within like 3 or 4 minutes. This stuff goes off really well. I'm just going to bring in another tree, which I believe is all the chassis, floor pan and that sort of stuff. I like to get that done body coloured. I don't know what you guys do, but quite a lot of people tend to paint them black. I quite like having a body coloured chassis, especially when it's on a slightly stripped out track car. So with this one here, you can see quite a lot of the chassis from the inside as well. So I like to make sure it's all matching, same colour, you know, same as it would be on a real car really. Yeah, so as you can see, just dusting this over to start with, trying to get a little bit of a cover on everything. Really awkward on some of these trees. And yes, I will go over all the little spots afterwards to make sure where I cut it off the trees, to make sure I've got blue everywhere. But getting the main bit of it covered to start with is my key aim for this. And I know I'm talking a lot, I do apologise. I don't like having silence in a video or silence sort of going on. I don't have any copyrighted music, so I can't use any of that. So you end up, unfortunately, having to deal with me chatting my head off. Have a quick sip of my tea while you guys are watching this bit. You can see me just putting another coat, sort of slightly heavier on this bit, because it's a bit more awkward to get all of these little areas. Got to have a nice cup of tea in the UK. It's 2 degrees outside at this precise moment in time, and it's not that warm inside either, to be fair. We're all trying to save money at the moment with this living crisis that we're going through, or cost of living crisis rather. Nice hot cup of tea keeps us going, doesn't it? So, where are we at? Okay, so we're still on the chassis panels and stuff here. Coming up now, we're going to look at my second coat on the body. As you can see, it's exactly where we left it, still in that slightly dull finish. Now I'm going on slightly thicker this time to try and get that coverage and the colour to fill in all the spaces, all the gaps, and a nice even coat all over. Slightly thicker. As you can see, I'm dragging time out on each pass this time rather than rushing through it. Trying to get a nice thick coat on there. Now this stuff goes on really well. The only downside, as I mentioned earlier, those panel gaps like round the door lines, the boot shut, that sort of stuff. For some reason, this colour just does not want to cover it. So I've got another video coming up where I'm trying to fill in the panel lines with some panel line accent colour, that sort of stuff. And it doesn't seem to be working, but we'll go through that in the next video. And then I'm going to show you what I do to remedy that as well. But if you have a quick look, we got a lovely glossy finish on this. Look at that for a paint finish. That's before we even put any clear on it. That is just the plain blue metallic. Once that dries, it does dry a bit matte, so we have to put some clear on, which is coming up shortly. Here we go, next clear. There we go. So we're now going to put some clear on. This is just automotive clear coat, so it's designed to go over that paint. Clear coat's always a little bit more nasty for you, so I do tend to use gloves, and I do tend to use a mask with this. And again, doing all those bottom edges, make sure we get all of that covered so we know we've not got any bits that we've missed. I do the chassis and everything with the clear coat as well. And as you can see, that goes on quite thick, like just to really emphasize that shine that we want out of it. And this stuff comes out really quick out the can as well. I always preheat my cans. I just sit them in a bit of hot water. A nice cover over all the top, look. And I'll bring it over and show you guys in a second. But yeah, nice big wet coat all over the top. Make it nice and shiny. The best finish is just before a run, believe it or not. Look at the shine on that. Gorgeous finish. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.